Okay, so let's do number 4, closed area. So, and we said if you have ventilation, it's one thing, but closed area, of course, it is a problem. And the ventilation was for aroma. That's like dry, right? Dry air. But steam is a different story. It's not going to be like ventilated to the top. So let's see. A closed area. The ability of steam to transmit taste to or to absorb the taste from the surface above it depends upon whether the steam is an open area or a restricted area. Okay. Steam rising from in an open area easily dissipates and less likely to reach the upper surface with intensity of the heat necessary to cause transmittal of the taste. So if it's open like on a stove top, you're doing something. Okay, of course there is a steam, but since the temperature in the room is not as hot as in this spot, of course. So all of this, so it's going to cool down the steam. So once it goes above the top, it starts like cooling down. So that's, of course, it's going to affect the steam, whether it can cook in double quotes, whatever the residue on the surface it's rising to. In addition, steam that dissipates sufficiently is unlikely to condense in the upper surface and fall back into the cooking liquid. Therefore, some authorities rule that although usually one need not be concerned with droplets of condensed steam may fall back into the food, if the cooking takes place in a confined area, one must assume that those droplets acquire taste of non-kosher surface and may fall back into the food. Okay, so here's a big leniency for us, right? So the big leniency, I would say, do not rely on it, unless you very, very need it, right? But he said some authority, not everybody, because it does not make sense. We just build the whole case for 20 minutes against it. But some authorities rule that, one more time, although usually one need not be concerned droplets of condensed steam may fall back into the food, right? Okay, no, I apologize. So if it's in closed area like oven, for sure there is a problem. So if droplets would go up and it's going to drop back in the food, is not non-kosher taste or opposite taste, but so the leniency was when it's in open area. The same most likely when the steam is not going to reach the area, it's not going to stay there. So okay, so maybe there is no like taste, like a mixture of the taste that's going to drop back to your liquid. Okay, so technically, like after the fact, we can rely on this leniency, no problem. Practical applications. So let me see. Okay. Practical applications. The most common application of the problem of Zeach relates, so it's steam. Zeach is steam, right? Maybe I should call it steam. Relates to foods cooked in the oven. So that's the bottom line, right? In the oven, it's closed the area, and that's what the problem is. An oven is confined area, and there is a possibility of the droplets of condensed steam may fall back into the food. So, and we say if it's covered with the lid, there is no problem. So because it's not going to go out or covered even with with aluminum foil, right? If wrapped properly, so maybe double wrap, the steam is not going to escape. Okay, so continue. Next one, a non-kosher food. If non-kosher food is cooked in the oven, it may make the oven treif, meaning that you would have to kosher the oven. and milk on meat food baked in the oven may render the oven dairy or meat, right? Depends what you doing there. Subsequently, when kosher foods are cooked in a treif oven, or meat food cooked in a dairy oven, or reverse, they will affected by droplets on the condensed steam fall into the food. So again, I need to emphasize, it's only when the food was open. If it was closed, there is no problem. After the fact, you can eat the food. Okay, but if it was open, like for sure, if you have meat, for example, we have this meat oven. So we use it, as I said, we use it for a meat and parv, but this parv, but you cannot eat this parv with the milk. Okay, that's it is parv, but not really. Okay, continue, right? But if you do the milk, for example, if HaShem somebody did not know in our house, and they would cook something like bake something like milk thing right inside, so for sure you're not allowed to eat it, because it would become a mixture of milk and meat together, because we don't kosher our stove every time. We kosher our stove only once a year before the Pesach. That's it. Okay, so continue. The problem of this steam certainly applies in microwave oven, since it is often has visible condensed vapor, like always. Like for example, it's what we use, like the cover, right? If you want to warm up some in the microwave, there's a plastic cover with so it's not going to splash out like everywhere, right? So it's always has a lot of condensation, right? So microwave ovens, I mean, it's they're so cheap today, so buy a second one, right? Buy second one, and no problem. You can use one for milk, one for for meat if necessary.